So, you want to learn another language, right? And so you went to the App Store and downloaded Duolingo or some other popular language learning app like Busuu or Lingodeer or Mondly or Babbel or Memrise or Language Learning. Actually, I just made that last one up, but you would have believed me, right? There are so many apps that claim to be better than college courses or get you to fluency in just 15 minutes a day. And maybe you use your chosen app every day for a week or a month, but you never really feel like you've learned anything substantial. You've just learned how to engage with that specific app and maybe a few new words here and there. And the most common reason is not that you're bad at languages or that you're doing anything wrong, just that you're missing part of the entire picture. Have you seen that scene in the movie Coco where Miguel knocks the picture of his tatarabuela off the ofrenda and realizes that there's more to the picture that he's seen his whole life? Well, that's sort of what's happening to you right now in this video. I'm going to drag back the curtain to show you exactly what you can do to improve your language learning today. First, let's talk about words. You've been learning words here and there, but likely you're having a bit of trouble remembering them. Or perhaps they don't feel like they're sticking in your brain. That's because there are two parts to learning a new word: learning it and solidifying it. What? There's a second part to learning? Yep, there sure is. At Refold, we prefer the term priming to learning since learning can be a bit misleading. Priming is exactly what those apps are good for. They prime you or prepare you by showing you new words in a structured approach. They show you what a word sounds like, what it looks like, and what it means. And if you're lucky, they'll also put it into a natural sentence. But they are completely lacking in step 2, solidifying. And the way we actually solidify new words in a language, any language, is by noticing and understanding those words in the real world. You need to hear or read a word at least a dozen times for it to really sink in. Just memorizing words won't really get you very far. But how am I supposed to find those words in the real world, you might ask? I still don't understand the language. First, take a breath, because that's totally okay. I wouldn't expect you to know the language yet. You've basically just started. But what you can do is look for the words you do know. Make it a scavenger hunt, turn it into a little game. I'll show you a demo in a moment. But first, we should talk about where to look. Where do you find these words? Because you do have to make a choice of where to search. For almost any widely spoken language, you can find a wealth of free content in that language right here on YouTube, and it's often made specifically for learners. Just search comprehensible input in X language, and you'll find a ton. They often speak a bit slower, usually include subtitles, not in English though, and talk about daily life. You can also turn to other kinds of media that you enjoy in your native language. Movies, TV shows, books, YouTubers, whatever it is. These will all be more difficult than beginner materials, obviously, but you can still play this noticing game, which I'll explain in a moment. But first, I want to share another gripe that I have with a lot of language learning apps. They don't always teach you the really useful words for understanding natives. They tend to focus on food names or days of the week rather than the words you're likely to hear if you turn on the TV. If you've noticed that and are unhappy with the app that you're currently using, check out the Anki decks we sell over on refold.la/decks. They're the perfect beginner resource since we've built them all from scratch to only include the 1,000 most common and useful words for understanding native speech. We pull all the words from popular TV shows, then manually remove anything that shouldn't be there. Plus, we work with native speakers to make natural sentences and record audio for everything. We're so confident that you'll love your new deck that if, for whatever reason, you don't like it, you can return it for a complete refund, no questions asked. Just send us an email. We call it a no ifs, ands, or buts guarantee. Link down below in the description. The noticing game is a simple way to engage yourself in something you still don't really understand. Let's pretend you're learning Spanish and you just learned a few words in your priming app, and now you're going to go word hunting. Let's continue with the example from earlier and watch Coco in Spanish. Remember, we're just looking out for the words we recognize. It doesn't even matter if you know exactly what they mean. Oh, right away, hey look, that looks like the word hero. Ooh, and I just learned loca earlier. That means crazy, I think. Ooh, there's zapatos, that's shoes. So I wonder what zapatero means. Something shoer, I don't know. Oh, and here's a good one. We have the sentence, ¿Qué estás haciendo aquí? And maybe you just learned the word aquí, which means here, and you already know that ¿qué is what and estás. And so then you can kind of guess what you are here, and then she's talking to him, so maybe what are you doing here? Or you can also just look it up. There's nothing wrong with that. This exercise of noticing and recognizing words you do know helps your brain build the connections between words, meanings, and uses. Languages are vast and complex, and just memorizing that zapato means shoe doesn't really include the whole picture. What kind of shoe? Is there a difference of how they use it? This noticing game eventually leads into full-on understanding. That last sentence in the example, ¿Qué estás haciendo aquí?, is a great example of how you can sometimes understand an entire sentence just with a little bit of study. Over time, your brain will skip the active noticing phase and will just understand more and more easily. Oh, and by the way, this works for any language, not just Spanish. I'm just using it as an example. This understanding that you're building also starts to build instinct, which is exactly how you're understanding the words that I'm saying right now. You're not consciously processing the English, you just understand. We speak languages with instinct. Our brains have figured out the patterns and how to do things without thinking. And so we do the same thing when learning a foreign language. And it all starts with noticing. The easiest place to start is right here on YouTube. It's free and there's content in thousands of different languages. Just search comprehensible input in X language, whatever you want to search, or even just put in some of the words that you've learned from your priming apps and see what comes up. Let me know down in the comments how your noticing game goes. Does it make learning new words easier or more fun maybe? Let me know. That's everything I have for you today. If you want a bit more information or other guides and advice, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and go check out our website at refold.la. If you enjoyed this video and know someone in your life who's been talking about learning a language for a while now, send them this video. When they're having fun with German or whatever else, you'll be able to remind them of who really got them started. Thanks for watching and happy immersing.